Hi, I'm Karen Downing Ripley, and I invite you to join me on a recent, unexpected side trip to Brittany, France, during the 80th anniversary of the city of Plélo's remarkable liberation celebration, and learn why Bretons and Americans remember and honor our shared DNA of World War II. A last-minute decision to deliver my father's World War II documents to the city of Plélo, France, opened me up to an amazing experience that has truly changed my life. I ask that you join me so that you too can know and appreciate how we Americans are respected and revered because our ancestors fought to liberate the town of Plélo in August 1944. My journey to my father's past in Plélo has become a crucible that brings up a tide of emotions in me from sorrow to joy. How can I know myself without first identifying with my father and mother? We honor our ancestors and ourselves by telling their stories. We keep that first ancestral heart beating as we tell their stories and pass on the DNA of our oral tradition. It's amazing to me to realize that we carry our parents' emotional and experiential DNA as much as we carry our own. I'm grateful to have this time to spend with you to reflect on how my parents' emotional DNA has shaped my own life. I feel extremely fortunate to have come from the Appalachian storytelling tradition. Back in the hills and hollers, everyone has stories to tell. They aren't just entertainment. They are blueprints for lives to be well spent. I can almost smell the fried potatoes and hear the rooster in the background when I reflect on my family's oral traditions. If only you could hear the soft, lilting, sing-song voices of the old folks, you would never want the stories to end. Pull up a chair and have some peach cobbler while I share some more of their fabulous story. My parents separated when I was 3. They had met in Rome, Ohio, on a hill overlooking the Ohio River. My mom was with her cousins who wanted to meet the cutest boy in town. The girls rode up to Dad's farm on their bicycles, and Mom stood back as the others flirted. She didn't want to give him the satisfaction of fawning all over him like the others. It worked. She was 14 and he was 15, and Dad went after the hard-to-get shy one named Geraldine. They fell in love. My grandparents were very protective. They had lost their first 2 daughters in childhood, and my mother's rambunctious behavior not only annoyed them, but scared them. My father was considered the best-looking boy in town, and he knew it. He swaggered around wearing flashy clothes and exuding his handsome charm. He already had a reputation with the girls. And when my grandfather saw my mother brazenly holding Dad's hand along the Ohio riverbank, he was said to have fallen to his knees saying, "Oh no, not Delbert Downing." Dad left for war at 17. My mom waited for him until the war was over. They got married as soon as he returned from World War II, and I was born along with the very first crop of baby boomers. It was so crowded under the full moon in Charleston, West Virginia, that the women laid in cots in the hallways and the babies were laid to sleep in dresser drawers. I asked my mom, "Tell me, was I in the top drawer?" My mom answered, "Sorry, Karen Beth, you were in the bottom drawer." I made sure that didn't happen again. I only moved up after that. After the war, Dad returned home on the Queen Mary, which had been turned into a troop ship during World War II. What a coincidence that just a few years later, I would make the return trip to England for him on the Queen Mary. When he got off the ship, he told himself, "I will never worry about anything ever again." And pretty much, he lived his life as if there was nothing that could stop him. Sadly, that included me and my mother. After I was born, my mom was a happy little mother and a housewife. Daddy, on the other hand, was restless. He was used to running for his life and killing the bad guys every day. He worked with my granddad as an iron worker, throwing hot lead bolts up to a basket. His fellow worker would then slam the hot bolt onto a steel girder in the construction of a local hospital. He had nightmares every night and woke up screaming. Dad was still fighting the war. He demanded that Mom press a fresh white shirt for him every evening so that he could go out at night. He needed more excitement in his life. He wanted more out of life than a union paycheck that didn't cover the bills. I remember sitting in my high chair in Charleston, West Virginia, when a taxi horn blared in front of the house. My dad got up from the kitchen table and leaned over and kissed my mother, saying, "Geraldine, you can kiss me or slap me, because I'm going to California." My mother took the old metal coffee pot off the stove and slung it at the kitchen wall. I remember the coffee spilling in rivulets down the wallpaper. She told him, "If you don't come back before I have to move back in with my parents, I will never go back with you again." She meant it. Dad came back almost a year later with the money he had earned, and Mom took it, but never slept with him again. As a woman of her time, she felt that if she went back with Dad, and he continued to do as he pleased without regard for her wishes, she would get pregnant again and have no way out. She wanted a divorce, and I don't blame her. Dad kept coming back again and again to no avail. Matters got worse during my dad's visit to see me in the prim and proper setting of my great-aunt's house. I called my soon-to-be stepfather Daddy. That was a big mistake. My father lost all control. As a World War II vet and a Golden Gloves boxer, his temper raged, and he hit the Air Force captain, who was recently engaged to my mother. They were both 6 foot tall, but it was no contest. Daddy was never to see me again until I was an adult. Bert and I drove across Brittany toward Plélo, where my father had served with Patton's 3rd Army in the 15th Cavalry Reconnaissance Group. I enjoyed the unhurried, precious time to remember my dad and all that he and my mom had meant to me. I longed to reach Plélo, where I could learn more about his service as a liberator in Brittany, France. Be sure to join me for the next episode of You Were There, Karen Beth, and learn how my dad introduced me to the Downing side of my family. While I expected to learn more about my dad, there were many more surprises to learn about myself.